Now, let's get the latest in Hunter Biden's legal woes with former acting U.S. Attorney General Matthew Whitaker. Matthew, thanks so much for coming on the U.S. Report. Big verdict here. Hunter Biden guilty of gun charges, but so many other charges he could have been put on trial for, sentenced for, all left by the wayside. Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's good to be with you, and hello to all my friends in Australia. I think the first thing that we need to understand about this Hunter Biden case is these gun charges were the least of his worries. I mean, he faced 3 felonies. For those, he's facing 3 tax felonies and 3 tax misdemeanors as well, and that trial is going to go to court in September. But remember, the 2 most serious charges, his tax years were allowed to expire under the statute of limitations and can never be brought. And it doesn't appear that the Foreign Agent Registration Act and other influence peddling charges are ever going to be brought as well. And so you add all that up, and first of all, it was surprising the Department of Justice was trying to sweep this under the rug with a sweetheart plea deal. But at the same time, it doesn't surprise me because Merrick Garland continues to play politics at the Department of Justice.
Yeah, and you remember that plea deal was so alarming, I think, to the judge that it was initially sort of blown up several months ago when that was first proposed. But just explain here to our audience, in Australia who may not have followed this as closely. These other charges, the Foreign Agent Registration Act violations alleged, the tax violations alleged, had the Justice Department dug into that, had the FBI or investigators dug in, those things might have led to pulling a thread on other Biden family business affairs. Is that why they wanted to keep those shut down and only charge him, Hunter, with a gun charge that would go no further?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I think the other thing is that if they went down certain paths, then that could have implicated Joe Biden and kind of blown up the whole, presidency. So as you remember, the team that was investigating was prevented from going down certain avenues of investigation. But, the thing that's the most offensive is the 2 years where Hunter Biden made the most money out of Ukraine, for example, when he's on the board of Burisma, those were allowed to just fall off the table, expire, never to be seen again. It is really it's malpractice by those lawyers at the Department of Justice that weren't able to bring those charges in a timely fashion, and obviously it was intentional as well.
Yeah, and Politico has reported that earlier this month, President Biden told a person close to him, quote, "If I weren't running for re-election, he would have gotten the plea deal," regarding Hunter's initial plea deal that fell apart in July 2023. I mean, break that one down for me.
Well, he wouldn't have. Judge Noriega, who was the trial judge in the gun case as well, saw right through it. And not only did it just give him a misdemeanor for the tax charges, it gave him essentially a non-prosecution or a deferred prosecution agreement for the gun charges, but it also prospectively gave him immunity for any other potential crimes. Unprecedented. And the judge asked a very simple question: have you ever done a deal like this in your career at DOJ? And the lawyers had to answer, no, we've never done this deal. So I don't think that Hunter Biden would have received that plea deal unless it was a total insider deal and the judge didn't sort of sniff it out. But, at the end of the day, you don't celebrate these kind of things. It's sad what Hunter Biden did. It's sad kind of how he struggled with drugs, especially crack cocaine. But it does, and most importantly, reflect, especially the influence peddling things that he's done. It does reflect on President Biden and how he did business as vice president.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the other things that came out of the Hunter gun trial that I find absolutely fascinating, having covered this story since it broke, was the Hunter laptop being confirmed that it was a real thing and that Joe Biden lied when he said this in the 2020 presidential debate with Donald Trump. Have a listen.
50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plant. They have said that this has all the 5 former heads of the CIA, both parties, say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage.
Now, let's put aside what all those intelligence agents might have been thinking for a moment, but do you expect Donald Trump to confront Joe Biden over this lie at the debate that's coming up in a couple of weeks?
Yeah, well, first of all, who is that guy in the blue tie? I don't recognize him. He seems a little too coherent to be President Biden. But that being said, I do expect President Trump will bring that up just to point out and highlight that, Joe Biden can't be trusted and will do whatever is politically expedient to get past the negative news story. I think, those intelligence officers should all be and face some sort of ramifications for lying to the American people. And, it's just, this is the thing is that, we have in Washington, D.C., very much a political class that rallies around their candidates, rallies around people like Joe Biden, protects them, and then the news media covers for them. I just think it's a shame. The American people can handle the truth, and they should expect the truth.
Well, look, absolutely right, but just to go back to this California case, which is the other tax case that is still floating around there, that's going to happen in September. Hunter is accused of not paying $1.4 million in taxes from 2016 to 2019. He's pled not guilty in that. But if that comes to trial, could this be the thing that starts to get some other evidence about how the Biden family business, which was a multi-million-dollar affair, worked?
Yeah, it will. I think, first of all, obviously, when you file your taxes, you make certain declarations of business deductions and where the money went. I think there's going to be some interesting analysis of the 20 limited liability companies that they structured these transactions through and the money laundering that happened. And ultimately, the story that needs to be told is how many members of the Biden family received distributions from those various limited liability companies and how many of the Biden family took advantage of really the largesse that was coming through when Joe Biden was vice president and Hunter Biden and Jim Biden were out doing their, let's call it business development.
Business development. That's a great little euphemism. Matthew Whitaker, we're going to have to leave it there for the moment, but we're going to come back to you in the weeks to come as this all plays out.